Hello again, boys and girls. So in today's lesson, we are going to be writing again from a character's point of view. We're going to think about a different character today, rather than Aunt Spiker. So to be successful in today's lesson, we're going to see again if we can remember key parts from a story. We're going to see if we can consider how a character might be feeling, how maybe that might differ from a different character. We're going to consider why a character may feel the way that they do. And we're going to see if we can up-level our vocabulary choices. So we're going to read the next chapter. We're going to read chapter 7 to find out what happens next, and then we're going to see if we can consider one of the characters' points of view.
Chapter 7. The two women and the small boy stood absolutely still on the grass underneath the tree, gazing up at this extraordinary fruit. James's little face was glowing with excitement. His eyes were as big and bright as two stars. He could see the peach swelling larger and larger, as clearly as if it were a balloon being blown up. In half a minute, it was the size of a melon. In another half minute, it was twice as big again. "Just look at it growing," Aunt Spiker cried. "Will it ever stop?" Aunt Sponge shouted, waving her fat arms and starting to dance around in circles. And now it was so big, it looked like an enormous butter-coloured pumpkin dangling from the top of the tree. "Get away from the tree trunk, you stupid boy," Aunt Spiker yelled. "The slightest shake and I'm sure it will fall off. It must weigh 20 or 30 pounds at least." The branch that the peach was growing upon was beginning to bend over further and further because of the weight. "Stand back," Aunt Spiker shouted. "It's coming down! The branch is going to break!" But the branch didn't break. It simply bent over more and more, and as the peach got heavier and heavier, and still it went on growing. In another minute, this mammoth fruit was as large and round and as fat as Aunt Sponge herself, and probably just as heavy. "It has to stop now," Aunt Spiker yelled. "It can't go on forever." But it didn't stop. Soon it was the size of a small car, and reached halfway to the ground. Both aunts were now hopping around and round the tree, clapping their hands and shouting all sorts of silly things in their excitement. "Hallelujah!" Aunt Spiker shouted. "What a peach! What a peach!" "Terrifico!" Aunt Sponge cried out. "Magnifico! Splendifico! And what a meal!" "It's still growing!" I know! As for James, he was so spellbound by the whole thing that he could only stand and stare and murmur quietly to himself. "Oh, isn't it beautiful? It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen." "Shut up, you little twerp," Aunt Spiker snapped, happening to overhear him. "It's none of your business." "That's right," Aunt Sponge declared. "It's got nothing to do with you whatsoever. Keep out of it." There's a picture of the tree there with the giant peach. "Look," Aunt Spiker shouted. "It's growing faster than ever now. It's speeding up." "I see it, Spiker, I do. Bigger and bigger grew the peach, bigger and bigger and bigger. Then at last, when it had become nearly as tall as the tree that it was growing on, and as tall and wide, in fact, as the small house, the bottom part of it gently touched the ground, and there it rested. "It can't fall off now," Aunt Sponge shouted. "It's stopped growing," Aunt Spiker cried. "No, it hasn't." "Yes, it has. It's slowing down, Spiker, it's slowing down, but it hasn't stopped yet. You watch it." There was a pause. "It has now. I believe you're right. Do you think it's safe to touch it?" "I don't know. We'd better be careful." Aunt Sponge and Aunt Spiker began walking slowly round the peach, inspecting it as cautiously from all sides. They were like a couple of hunters who had just shot an elephant and were not quite sure whether it was dead or alive, and the massive round fruit towered over them so high that it looked like midgets from another world beside it. The skin of the peach was very beautiful, a rich buttery yellow with patches of brilliant pink and red. Aunt Sponge advanced cautiously and touched it with the tip of one finger. "It's ripe," she cried. "It's just perfect. Now look here, Spiker. Why don't we go and get a shovel right away and dig out a big chunk of it off of it for you and me to eat?" "No," Aunt Spiker said. "Not yet." "Why ever not?" "Because I say so." "But I can't wait to eat some," Aunt Sponge cried out. She was watering at the mouth now, and a thin trickle of spit was running down from one side of her chin. "My dear Sponge," Aunt Spiker said slowly, winking at her sister and smiling a sly, thin-lipped smile. "There's a pile of money to be made out of this, if only we handle it right. You wait and see." Did you notice in that chapter that actually the only line that poor James spoke was there, and then he was told straight away to shut up by his aunts? If I was James, and I was told shut up, I wouldn't be feeling very happy.
So now that we've read that chapter together, I'd like to go back to DB Primary and I'd like to download the document so we can consider how James might be feeling in this chapter. I'd like to write your answers in full sentences, checking your punctuation and grammar carefully. Once you've done that, again come back to here and see if you can write your open assessment. So today we were considering a character's point of view. Think about your presentation effort when you did your writing and think about what your next step could be. Were you able to remember key events from the story? Were you able to consider how a character might be feeling? Did you consider why the character might feel the way that they do? And did you up-level your vocabulary choices? If you've done all of those things, think of something else that you could do to make your writing even better next time.